door is open yet again. Oh my god. Okay, if you hear a little fan on me, it's because it's hot as absolute fuck. But I wanted to go. I wanted to hop back onto this because I'm intrigued. Making sure everything's right on stream. Alright, let's continue this. I'm gonna drink the rest of my cut water. I had to finish it. I didn't finish it, but I had to like put it in the refrigerator because I had to go. I had to go to the gym, and thankfully I didn't drink that much of it. It's still like heavy. While these ruffians were jostling with the broker, I was still near the entrance to the shop. Oh wait, we need to start pressing him on this stuff. Mr. Winterbake emerged from the storeroom, I believe. Ringo and Nash were scouring the counter when he suddenly appeared and flew at them. He already had the revolver in his hand. Fortunately, I wasn't too close. I've never been so scared in all my life. Yeah, we were just your regular mild-mannered burglars, that's all. We don't like violence. Says the pair who carry a gun. What do you mean when you say you were near the entrance to the shop? I was in the doorway, running my eyes over the shelves of forfeited items. Looking for the music box, of course. The broker went for Nash in the first place. Then Ringo joined in, making it 2 against 1, so I assumed they can handle the situation. But I was wrong. I was trying to help me little bruv, but the old geezer chucked me over the bloomin' counter. So I pulled me gun on the old fella, and that soon made him scarper. The pair of you setting upon the poor defenseless pawnbroker together, shame on you. Sorry, Gov. When Winterbank threw Nash over the counter, I felt a sharp pain in my arm. You mean that's the moment you were shot? Yes, though I didn't immediately realize what had happened, of course. Things crashed to the floor from the counter as the 3 men were brawling. It was at exactly that moment that it happened, so I didn't hear the gunshot. And the bullet went on to strike the calendar in the wall behind you. So it would appear. When I looked at my arm, I saw it was bleeding badly, so I wrapped my handkerchief around it. Seeing as I couldn't explain what had happened to a doctor, I had no choice but to wait for it to heal. I didn't imagine it would still be bleeding 2 days later. Did Mr. Winterbake intend to shoot you, do you think? Well, now, I don't imagine he even noticed I was there, to be honest. Perhaps the gun went off accidentally. Anyway, it didn't quite strike home. When I pulled my gun on him, he tried to shove me out of the way. And then when he scarpered through that locked door out back. At which point, what did you do? I pursued the man, but he shut himself in the storeroom. I could see him through the peephole in the door, though.
Hold it!
You mean you chased after him? I don't recall the reason why, but I ran after him to the back of the shop. And what about this peephole in the door you mentioned? Well, unsurprisingly, the storeroom's door is a solid job made out of stout wood. But there's a small opening about head height that lets you see what's in there from the store. Actually, I should know that, shouldn't I? I looked through it myself that night. And what about your burgling brothers? Did you see what went on through this peephole? What about you burgling brothers? Did you see what went on through this peephole as well? Not likely, Gov. Didn't see nothing of the sort, Gov. I doubt these two buffoons were even aware of the peephole's existence. So the Skulkin brothers were there, but they didn't see the killing of Mr. Windibank take place? Inside the storeroom, I could see the broker and that young girl standing there. The defendant? Yes, though neither of them noticed that I was looking. The girl raised her gun and pointed it straight at the man. And then, what did you see next? The accused in the black coat shot the man in the back as he was trying to flee to safety. Yes, when the crime was discovered, the defendant was found with a gun in her hand. But that was Mr. Windibank's gun, from which only a single bullet had been fired. And as we've already established, Mr. Graydon, that bullet was fired at you. Oh, but no, it wasn't the broker's gun that the pickpocket girl had when I saw her. Yes, the bullet from Windibank's gun grazed my arm, and yes, the Skulkin's gun grounded the detective. But this was another gun entirely, a third gun. The broker's gun was not the murder weapon, so clearly there had to be a third firearm involved. In other words, the accused must have had her own gun with her at that time. But no other gun was found at the scene. Calm yourself, counselor. Sorry? You must consider the events in order. At first I saw the broker and the girl glancing at each other, but then all of a sudden, the broker turned to run, and it was at that moment that the little gutter rat shot him in the back. A chilling image, I must say. Over here lying like hell. I saw the blood spatter all over that wretched girl. And then she tossed the gun out of the peephole, so I picked it up and made my escape.
Hold it!
All over her? Yes, through the peephole, I saw it clearly. Of course, the stains are invisible now, what with the coat being such a dark color. But I assure you, the garment is sullied with the victim's blood. Well, it is sullied with blood, that's for sure. But it's not Mr. Windibank's blood, is it? No, that's right. It's Mr. Mason Milverton's blood from the gill that stabbed him 2 months ago. It's so annoying. If they'd only accept Hurley's chemical analysis, we could prove that. But they won't, so unfortunately, we can't use it as evidence to support our case. Bother. Did I hear you correctly? She threw the gun out of the storeroom? That's right. After the broker fell to the floor, she started walking over. Over where exactly? In the direction of the storeroom door, to where I was watching. Of course, I quickly retreated, and then The girl dropped the gun through the peephole onto the floor on my side of the door. But why on earth would she do such a thing? I couldn't tell you. Perhaps she was hoping to distance herself from the murder weapon. Without thinking, I went and picked it up. I suppose I was worried about just leaving it there in case any more tragedies took place.
So it was you, in fact, who took the third gun from the scene of the crime?
Yes, it was yours truly. I left the clear up to my lackeys and left.
Clear up?
We made a bit of a mess around the counter, so Mr. Whistle and Flute here told us to tidy up. He thinks he's our bloomin' mom sometimes.
Well, I was paying you enough, by God.
Tell me, Mr. Graydon, when you left the pawnbrokery that night, was it by any chance with the second disc in your jacket pocket? Feel like a bullet. What the hell?
Excuse me.
Gentlemen. Something wrong, Sunshine? That should be my line. You do realize you were just violently shaking Mr. Skulkin. Blimey, this dude's a bit of a hooligan, ain't he? What was going on just now? You saw him. He grabbed me. Listen. Why the blazes, he said. Didn't you mention the third gun when we got down to the station? And why didn't you? 'Cause we didn't know nothing about it. Or that flaming peephole in the door. Sorry about that. I can be prone to losing my rag sometimes. Not hurt, are you? Oh, blimey. See the way he's looking at me? I'm telling you, this D gives me the willies. That was strange. The inspector doesn't normally get quite as worked up as that. He wouldn't normally grab someone. No, that wasn't like Gregsy at all. He's normally all sweetness and light. No matter what I say to him. But yes, well, I think you might be a special case, Iris. Well, anyway, that was definitely out of character. My lord! Requesting your lordship's permission to interrupt the cross-examination. Explain yourself, officer. I have the results of the test that was ordered earlier, my lord.
The blood on the accused's overcoat.
Thank you, officer. Very well. The cross-examination is hereby temporarily suspended. I presume you have no objection, counsel? No, my lord. Well, there you have it.
The report, please, Inspector.
Yes, sir. Traces of human blood were found on the overcoat of the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade. From the extent of the stains, it would appear that they were a result of a spattering following the gunshot wound. End of report. Goodness me! Shit. See? What did I tell you? No, the blood on that coat is not Mr. Windibank's. What on earth makes you say that, counsel? The coat originally belonged to Magnus McGilded. Just before his coat was deposited at Windibank's, McGilded had fatally stabbed Mr. Mason Milverton. So the blood on that overcoat is the blood of the brickmaker from the omnibus case.
Well, the dead cannot speak. Isn't that right, my Nipponese friend? Sorry. 2 months ago in this very courtroom, did you not argue fervently for McGilded's innocence? And yet now that the man is dead, you brand him as a murderer? Your conduct shatters any shred of respect you may have earned for yourself in this country.
But that was... I call it a bally disgrace. Treachery is what it is. How to determine whether the blood on that coat is 2 months old or not? Even a stereoscope couldn't help the answer to that. Even a stereoscope couldn't help the answer to that problem pop out. It can't be done. But we used Mr. Sholmes. Mr. Sholmes is a detective, not a chemist. Would you put such faith in the chemical formula devised by me, for example, when I'm a communications officer? I held up Prizonsky to a starving boy, and he ran away crying. Sherlock Sholmes is barely more than a figment of the public's imagination. His name carries no weight in this courtroom, no weight at all. How could you say that? Victory is sweet indeed. This proves that my testimony is the whole truth from start to finish. How do you arrive at such conclusions, sir? As the witness said, the accused's coat was spattered with the blood of the victim. The only way Mr. Graydon could possibly have known that fact is if he saw it happen. In other words, his testimony is solid, and the conclusion is singular. It was the accused who shot the victim in this case. That is the whole truth. My lord. Been a long battle, this one, but those old Warhouse has something to say now, if you please. Mr. Foreman? As of this moment, sir, the squadron has reached its final decision. Ready, men. All for one now. Sir.
Guilty.
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 Why is he running these people?
Guilty.
Guilty.
Well, it would appear that the ladies and gentlemen of the jury have reached a unanimous verdict. The defense has consistently failed to unpick this witness' testimony. Here's to any attempt you may make at unpicking the juror's decision being equally unsuccessful. I don't believe it, after I've come so far. How is it all unraveling on me so fast? How very distressing. To be held in such low esteem. Who is this? Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Naruhodo? The bailiff? Officer? You've delivered the report now. That will be all. Thank you. It occurs to me with some regularity, Mr. Naruhodo, that scientific truths are determined not by science, but by none other than the human mind. I know that voice. Am I going mad? Is this? Oh my fucking god. Mr. Sholmes? What is the meaning of this? Not that pose. My bitch pose is nasty. What business do you have here, detective? The last I heard, you were recuperating in hospital. As well I would be had I not been set upon an errand. What errand? It's really you. You're awake at last. Yes, good day, Iris. I appear to be rather late to rise. My apologies. Now, my lord, if you will humor me. In what manner, sir? I have something of great importance I wish to give the young lawyer over there. I need no more than 5 minutes. Would you be so kind to spare us the time? What say you to this, Lord Van Zieks? This trial has taken many hours of the court's time, having spent so long already. Exactly, having spent so long already, we don't want to go wasting any more precious time.
As I was saying, having spent so long already, it would seem churlish to deny the defense a mere 5 minutes.
They cut him off again.
Very well then, counsel. Have your 5 minutes.
My dear fellow, I apologize for my tardy arrival. Mr. Sholmes, are you alright now? Alright? I'm all wrong. Sorry? I've only just managed to summon the strength to stand, man. I asked the judge for 5 minutes. But I fear even that may prove too much for me. Pray forgive me should I pass out. Let's make this discussion as short as possible. Hurley, this place is full of idiots. None of them can see how wonderful your chemical blood analysis is. Oh, well, that concoction of mine was really just a bit of sport to assist me in my investigations. I never took the trouble to refine it for appraisal by the scientific community, and oversight on my part. Right. Modesty? Surely not. But enough of that. I'm here to give you this, my dear fellow. What's that? A lavender furoshiki wrapping? A leaving present from Miss Usato. From Miss Usato? If possible, matters were to be settled without me giving you this. Those were her instructions when she asked me to do her this favor. I don't understand. Miss Usato foresaw today's events, I believe. She knew that the culprit would attempt to escape justice by means both devious and underhand, and that you, Mr. Naruhodo, fighting fairly as you are wont to do, you would find yourself in considerable peril. At that very moment of crisis, you were to be given this small parcel. Those were the dear lady's instructions. A leaving present from Susato-san. Whatever could it be? What is this? Oh, it's the machine I made. Oh. Look, I used this with my latest invention. What is that? I call it the Cat Flap-O-Mat. It can make a cat flap for a little furry friend like Waggy in seconds. What is Susie up to? Miss Usato muttered the following words before she left. I'm a failure. I don't deserve to be a judicial assistant. What? Didn't she say something like that? You really are the best judicial assistant in the world. Well, that's extremely flattering. But I'm sorry to say that I've been a complete failure. Whatever did she mean by that, Mr. Sholmes? That night, when you left Winterbanks in pursuit of the thieves. Oh, whoops. Miss Usato made use of this contraption for a certain purpose. That is your answer, dear fellow. Not all that cryptic, then. Susato-san used this cat flap-o-mat that night? But why?
Your 5 minutes is over.
We're out of time already? I'm grateful to you affording us that brief recess, Mr. Reaper.
Detective, after all, the die is cast.
Is it really?
The jurors are unanimous in their leanings. No doubt my learned friend will consider a summation examination. But any attempt to alter the verdict now would be utterly futile.
I wonder. Mr. Naruhodo? Yes? The rest is down to you, dear fellow. What is your plan? The rest is down to me. I need to be careful here. If I make a wrong move, the trial will end badly. My lord, the defense requests... Further cross-examination.
The jurors have spoken. Protocol dictates that you may not cross-examine a new witness now.
The defense is not asking for the cross-examination of a new witness, rather to continue with one of an existing witness.
What?
It would appear that a rather important detail has escaped your attention, Mr. Reaper. Oh. Yeah, he said that he was suspending it. It's not over. No, my lord. So nobody can say anything then. If Fruto asks to resume his cross-examination of Mr. Graydon, the court is obliged to allow it.
This is absurd.
I would remind those present that this is my courtroom. I concur that the defense is entirely within its rights to request the continuation of the cross-examination. However, I will not permit an unremitting protraction of these proceedings. Therefore, I have decided to afford the defense one final opportunity in concluding this cross-examination. Counsel, you must choose but one statement from the witness's testimony and but one piece of evidence to present in support of your argument against it. A single chance to present evidence? If, following that, the situation remains unchanged, I shall move to adjudication. Is that clear, counsels? You will not press the witness any further.
My lord.
Yes, my lord. A single statement and a single piece of evidence. Most generous. Well then, Mr. Naruto, it's high time I fell in a dead faint. I leave this in your capable hands. Mr. Sholmes! Oh my god. Someone get that man back in the hospital bed to stand so insociently before the court in the state of such high fever. Either the man has extraordinary strength of mind or an extraordinary lack of feeling.
I imagine he's feeling very little now. The detective is sleeping soundly in one of the antechambers.
Strike a man when he's down, why don't you? Well then, counsel, are you fully prepared? Yes. Oh, that got in my nose. One statement, one piece of evidence. I won't let Mr. Sholmes down, or Iris. And I won't waste this final chance that Susato-san has given me. This is going to decide the entire outcome of the trial. Very well then. Under the terms I have outlined, you may resume the cross-examination. I'm guessing this cat flap.
Objection!
What on earth is that eccentric contraption, Counsel? Oh, it's my cat Flapomat, my lord. It makes a way for cats to get in and out of a room. It can cut through any door you can think of, and make a new little door in the middle of it. That's right, my lord. It's a device for creating so-called cat flaps. Small doors for cats to come and go as they please without their owners having to open the main door. I'm sure we can all work that out for ourselves. Oh. But that cat lover's contrivance has no possible relevance to this case. Oh, really? Of course it doesn't. To start with, there was no cat flap in the pawnbroker's door. Not being a keeper of cats myself, I'm afraid I fail to see what this has to do at the matter at hand. Perhaps it would help if I described its function another way then. This contraption is able to create a peephole in any door you can imagine in practically no time at all. I beg your pardon. A peephole, you say? 2 nights ago, we arrived at the scene only minutes after the murder of Mr. Winterbank had taken place. That's right. According to the paperwork at the yard, it was you, your Japanese assistant, and Sholmes. Yes, the 3 of us were together, and it's recently come to my attention that my assistant made use of this device at the time. Your assistant did what? There was a peephole in the storeroom door. I can attest to that. Because I looked through the peephole myself in order to see the inside the locked storeroom. This is ludicrous. What are you trying to say? Of course there was a peephole in the door. I said as much as my testimony. How else could I have witnessed the crime, for pity's sake? Yes. How could you? What? Counsel, kindly say what you mean. Alright, it's time. Time to strike the final blow. What I mean is this, my lord. My assistant made the peephole in the storeroom door, and until such time as she did, the door had no hole in it to look through. No!
Objection!
This is a farce. Are you really suggesting that the peephole in the door was... Yes, it was created only after the incident had taken place by my judicial assistant using this device. Your assistant tampered with the crime scene whilst being fully aware of the gravity of her actions. This is a most serious act of vandalism, for which I humbly apologize, my lord. It was in the few minutes that I had left the scene in order to pursue the Skulkin brothers and alert the police. Nevertheless, in the light of this new information, it becomes apparent that Mr. Graydon's testimony is riddled with holes. Riddled with... Explain yourself, counsel. The majority of Mr. Graydon's testimony appears to incriminate the defendant. It's based upon what he witnessed through the people in the storeroom door. Yes, that filthy girl shooting the man in the back. However, if at the time of the incident, that people did not yet exist in the door, there's no possible way that you could have seen what you have claimed to have seen. In short, your entire testimony is a pack of lies. Is there any credence to this revelation? None whatsoever, as my learned friend must surely realize. Exactly. This is just some cheap trick designed to discredit me. I'm afraid not, sir. Of course it is. Do you seriously expect people to believe that plaything can cut through a solid wooden door? Oh yes, I designed it to be very powerful. It can cut through even the toughest of doors. That's absurd. I don't believe it for a second. I had a feeling you'd say that. What? Waggy, gooey, time for dinner. Well? Young lady, this is the Old Bailey. One does not make cat flaps in the oak paneling in the Old Bailey. I'm not done yet, don't worry. This doesn't mean that the people in the storeroom door at Windibanks was made by your machine. And there's no way you can prove that it was. No, but it's easy. What? The cat flaps my cat flapomet creates are all a fixed size. And the dimensions of the people of Windibanks are an exact match. Ugh. Old Silky's lost for words. Excellent work, Iris. Thank you. And now it's my learned student's friend's turn to be lost for words, I feel. I believe that your judicial assistant has already left the country for your Eastern Island home. Well, yes, that's true. Then you may have some difficulty in establishing all of the facts. For the sake of argument, let us assume the people as dimensions that are a perfect fit for this contraption. In that case, when was the people cut? The prosecution demands proof of your answer. What is the purpose of your line of inquiry, learned Van Seeks? It's very simple, my lord. The defense argues that the people was created after the incident using this device. But now that perpetrator has returned to her native land, she cannot testify to the fact. There's no proof. And for as long as the defense remains unable to prove when the people was made, my learned friend's claim amounts to nothing more than a baseless accusation. What? Indeed, that is so, Lord Menzies. Well, counsel, don't give up now, Bruno. This is the time to create your own opening and force your way through. I don't know if I can do this, but I know one thing. Susato-san is the greatest judicial assistant in the world. Very well. The counsel for the defense will present its evidence to support the claim made. Proof that the people in the door of Windibank's storeroom was created and invented not before. Wait. This one. What are you? A print from the detective's infernal cameras again? My judicial assistant, Mr. Sato Mikotaba, is an extremely intelligent and capable woman, which is why I never had any cause to doubt that she would have considered the scenario and made sure that I had necessary proof. And the necessary proof is hiding in this photographic print, counsel. This print shows the scene at the shop moments after the defendant entered the premises. Agreed. And it also shows the accused mercilessly wielding a gun in the direction of the defense's broker. But more to the print. It pictures the storeroom door in the background. Let me see that print again. I don't believe it. This is really quite remarkable. The door to the storeroom is completely devoid of a people of any description. Ugh. Mr. Graydon, you couldn't possibly have witnessed the crime that you claim to have done, because at the time it happened, there was no peephole in the door. Ugh. In other words, your testimony is a catalog of lies. Oh. Oh my goodness. I am satisfied that the defense has substantiated its claim beyond all reasonable doubt. This witness's testimony was entirely fallacious. That's not the only thing we now know beyond all reasonable doubt. My learned friend Assistant's guilt can no longer be denied. The woman tampered with the crime scene. But more importantly... Good lord, there's more, Lord Van Zieks? The defense may have established a reprehensible instance of perjury. But that is no proof that this man is the victim's killer. Yes, that's right. What? I was there at the scene. It's true. And I was shot in the arm. It's true. But that's all. Yes, in fact, if you look at the circumstances, I am the victim here. Oh, please, no! Oh, come the fuck on. I don't believe this, but they're right, as it stands now. I don't have any definitive proof that he is the culprit. Still, he can't worm his way out of it now. Iris, you know what they say. There's no point in locking the cat's door after the cat has bolted. Isn't that right, Bruno? As Hurley always says, one lie begets another. No, wait, that might be a line that I wrote for him in one of my stories. Well, no matter who said it first, you're right. Mr. Graydon, not only did you give false testimony to the court, but the lies you told make no sense. Make no sense? What do you mean by such a remark? What you said in your testimony reveals that you know something you shouldn't have known. In other words, there's a fundamental inconsistency in your statements. What?
Objection!
This is provocative talk, counsel. Won't you enlighten the court? Explain this alleged inconsistency.
Iris was right. One lie begets another. The inconsistency is revealed by the lies in the witness's statements. They show that Mr. Graydon had knowledge of something he shouldn't have known anything about, namely... the bloodstains on the coat. Because he wouldn't have seen the bloodstains that were present on Miss Lestray's coat. That's right. The victim's blood spattered all over her when he shot him. When she shot him. But how could you possibly have known that? Obviously, because I saw her do it through the peephole in the... The point is not that you lied in your testimony, Mr. Graydon. It's the nature of the lie you concocted that is so revealing. You're not making any sense. Then let me ask you a simple question. How is it, Mr. Graydon, that you knew of the existence of a peephole in the storeroom door? What? Well, obviously, Has the cat got your tongue, witness? The peephole in the door was made after the incident occurred, and once I returned to the shop having failed to catch 2 burglars, Scotland Yard's investigators arrived immediately. Since that time, the police have been at Windibanks constantly carrying out their investigation. Isn't that right, Inspector Gregson? Well, yes, of course. The place is chock full of pawned articles, and my lads have to thoroughly examine them all. So I gave them an order to have the officers working around the clock in shifts so we get through it all. Inconsequently, there's no way that you, Mr. Graydon, could have gained access to the shop. Therefore, you should have known nothing about the peephole in the storeroom door. Oh. So the fact that its existence forms the basis of your testimony is completely inexplicable.
Objection!
And yet the fact remains that Mr. Graydon did maintain that he witnessed the crime take place through the peephole in the door.
How on earth is that possible? Could I have a word, please, Lord Van Zieks?
Speak, Inspector.
It's just that I really ought to be getting back to the station I had to put in my report. There's really nothing more I can add to this testimony, if that's all the same to you.
Permission denied.
Oh.
It's not all the same to me, Inspector. Not at all. You will remain exactly where you are until this trial concludes.
Of course, sir. What is going on? Something real big is going on with this shit. Mr. Graydon. You shouldn't have known about the existence of that peephole. Which can only mean that you must have been informed about it by somebody else. Ugh.
Objection!
Stop there, my learned friend. You realize, I trust, that the words that you just uttered have extremely serious implications.
Yes, but the defense believes that the details about the case that Mr. Graydon claims to have seen must have been revealed to him by a certain person before his testimony. And in fact, considering a particular clue we have, there's really only one person that could be. Who is the person in question, counsel? Who gave this witness the details of the crime scene to facilitate this false testimony?
Take that!
The truth is, it can only have been you, Inspector Gregson. Huh? Me?
You had better have some proof to substantiate such a rash claim, my learned friend.
Consider the fact that we've only been aware of Mr. Ashley Graydon's identity for the last few hours. We only learned of it through the course of the trial today. Indeed, preparations for his testimony were made with great urgency during our hour-long recess, while the police executed the subpoena and brought the man here from the communication station. And until that time, Mr. Graydon would have had no idea, no inkling that he possibly would have been required to appear in court. Are you suggesting that until such time that he was summoned? Yes, my lord. Until then, it's reasonable to assume he knew nothing of the peephole. It was only once Mr. Graydon was in the stand that he realized his position, that he would have had to defend himself against the accusation that he was the third intruder.
You're suggesting to the court that it was while this trial was in progress that he received the information so that he could commit perjury in order to save his skin?
Exactly. And the only person with knowledge of the investigation and had any contact with is you, Inspector Grayson.
This is a bloomin' outrage.
Why would I be giving away details of our investigations to this fella, eh? I was summoned to his lordship's chambers during the recess in any case. Have you forgotten that? Quite true. I had a number of questions regarding the events that transpired at the pawnbrokery.
Which means the first time these two laid eyes on one another was after proceedings resumed following the recess. Since then, they've been in full view of the stand, where such illicit discussions couldn't have possibly occurred.
But when they were whispering, Ooh, I've just remembered something, Bruno.
What is it, Iris?
There was one time before, wasn't there? I think it was when Ginny was testifying.
Oh yes, now that you mention it.
When the bailiff was dispatched to receive Mr. McGilder's music box from the scene of the crime. That's it. It was during that testimony. I remember finding it strange at the time. Mr. Graydon and the inspector seemed to have been having some kind of secret discussion. It would have been possible for you to give Mr. Graydon the information he needed then.
You little toe rag, you're making all this up. I'm a respectable Scotland Yard inspector, for crying out loud. Why would I do something like that? Why would I be giving away confidential details to the likes of this bloke?
Admittedly, you wouldn't have had any reason to do something like that for no gain. But perhaps it was part of a deal of some kind. Then it starts to make more sense.
What deal, counsel?
I wonder if perhaps, in exchange for details about the people at the crime scene, Mr. Graydon agreed to give a certain something to the inspector. I'm sure I need not remind the inspector that if found to be true, striking a deal of any kind with a witness would be considered a gross case of malfeasance?
Well,
Objection!
It's becoming clear that jumping in with accusations is this Nipponese student's specialty.
I don't do that.
But with the stakes so high, the prosecution is not prepared to listen to baseless charges. It is incumbent on the defense to now to present evidence in support of this diabolical claim.
Evidence?
Just what are you proposing that the inspector demanded of the witness in return? The court must see proof of this alleged deal.
If Inspector Gregson really did strike a deal with Mr. Graydon, then logically there's only one thing he could have asked for. That must be it. Bruno, do you think it could be? Yes. It's gotta be that disc. It's the missing link that would join all the dots together in this puzzle. I must press you for an answer now, counsel. What evidence explains the nature of this alleged deal that Inspector Gregson made with the witness? I'm guessing this.
Take that!
Inspector Gregson, besides this murder, is it not true that you've been working on another very important case?
What are you getting at now, Sunshine?
Is it possible that this other top secret case is what's alluded to in this newspaper article here? The classified secrets being leaked overseas from the Ministry of Justice?
How the bleeding Nora could you?
We discovered during the course of this trial the music box deposited at Winterbanks by Magnus McGilded. A special music box designed to play 2 discs at once. It would seem very likely now that encoded on the pair of discs were in McGilded's possession are the leaked classified secrets. So I put it to you, Inspector, that in order to recover the sound of the second of the discs containing those secrets, you covertly made a deal with Mr. Graydon in which you exchanged the disc for the details of the case.
You little...
On the day of the incident, when we met you at Windomakes, you said this. I'll be taking that whatever it is and McGilda's down to the yard, thank you very much. So hand it over. No, don't give it to him. That's mine it is. It's mine. I'm sorry, miss. But anything belonging to McGilda has to be taken in as evidence now. Was he like a spy or something, McGilda? Scotland Yard already knew at that time, isn't that right? That Magnus McGilda was involved in the stealing of government secrets. My orders were, recover the medium used to convey the secrets leaked from the ministry, and do it on the QT, strictly hush-hush. And that explains why, when I presented this as evidence to the court, you objected so heavily, I presume. Because you knew that it contained highly confidential information. Blimey, not likely. I mean, I wasn't sure of it myself. I realized there was a possibility, that's all. Inspector, surely you're not saying that in order to acquire the second of these music boxes, you did indeed reveal confidential details of the crime scene to the witness. To aid and abet this man of giving him false testimony. There's no other way around that, Mr. Graydon. There's no other way around that Mr. Graydon could have known the existence of those people. It's the only explanation. A deal was struck between these two men.
Objection!
If, and I stress if, this sobering assertion turns out to be founded in truth, it would mean that the second disc is, as we speak, here in this very courtroom.
Wait, what? In this room? How could you possibly make a claim like that?
Because Inspector Gregson is a Scotland Yard detective.
What? What's that supposed to mean, eh?
As a seasoned policeman, the inspector will have approached this alleged deal with caution. Certainly he would not have accepted a gentleman's agreement in this matter. No, he would not have insisted on having the article agreed upon in the palm of his hand.
Good gracious, then you mean to say Inspector Gregson already has the item in question in his possession? He has the second disc actually on his person? The defense demands that the inspector is searched at once. Definitely, they could only have struck a deal with each other when Ginny was testifying before, and Grexy hasn't moved from the witness stand since. My lord, please, order an examination of his personal effects immediately. Well, Inspector, the jig's up, dude. Just go ahead and give it up.
This young man wants to tone down his imagination. He's insulted me in my profession quite enough. However, if it'll put this matter to bed and dispel any doubts of my involvement, then I'll happily submit to a body search.
What? He's going to agree to it?
I presume you're aware of the precipice on which you now teeter, my learned student friend. You've made a most serious allegation against Scotland Yard here. If following the search of the inspector's personal effects no disc is found, you will be deemed unfit for court service. This trial will end, and my country's government will formally demand that you were severely reprimanded.
That sounds serious. Indeed, to have a visiting student make such a defamatory remarks about our country's most senior police force is not something Her Majesty's government will be able to overlook. You're just threatening Bruno because you're scared.
The accusation is beyond serious. You must be prepared for grave consequences.
It's true. I can't imagine Gregson would have accepted a gentleman's agreement for something so critical. The disc must have physically changed hands, which means that the inspector should have it. But somehow, something doesn't feel quite right here. Very well, counsel. You know the implications, so let me ask you one final time. Yes, my lord. Do you still persist on formally requesting a search of the inspector's personal effects? Well, it's clearly not going to be on him because he clearly, like, gave up without any... Let's try to search someone else. Yes, the defense formally demands the search to be conducted. Well, don't say that you weren't warned. But your typical Nipponese stubbornness may well land you in hot water this time. Perhaps the lesson will do you some good. Fair enough. I've got nothing to hide. Very well then. Bailiff, conduct a search of the inspector's personal effects. Oh. The defense demands a search, but not of Inspector Gregson. What? Now what's all this? I'm the one you're accusing, aren't I? I thought you wanted to search me. No, Inspector, not you. Somebody else. What's the meaning of all this, eh? Lost it at last, have you, Sunshine? The court shouldn't have put up with this nonsense. You're being completely irrational. Be quiet, all of you. Oh, Runo's doing what you all told him to do and having the courage of his convictions. So you should respect that and listen to what he has to say in good faith. Because that's the British way. Well said, young lady. Indeed, this court is in awe of the defense counsel's conviction and eagerly awaits his next words. You what? Now don't be hasty, my lord. If I'm not mistaken about the things I've seen in court today, I'm fairly sure that I know who has that disc at the moment. There's only one person it can be. Counsel, of whom do you request a search now?
Take that!
Of my lord, Mr. Nash Skulkin. Me? Him? Very well then, bailiff. Restrain the witness. Sorry. Restrain the witness and conduct a thorough search of his personal effects. Please, my lord. Inspector, Scotland Yard has to object to this search.
Objection!
Unfortunately for you, Inspector, your objections carry no weight here.
Huh?
In this courtroom, only the prosecution and defense had the authority to object.
But Lord Van Zieks,
I have no idea what forces are in play that might influence your actions. But personally, I have no intention of obstructing the course of this trial.
bailiff, carry out the search. Now, hold on a mo. I don't know nothing. Nothing about no disc. Cut it out. Here, my lord. In the witness's pocket. I found this. Oh. Good lord, that's...
Another music box disc.
I don't know nothing about it. Nothing.
Oh, he's pissed.
That is the second music box disc left behind by Magnus McGilded. Is it not, Inspector Gregson? Ugh. Gregson, what the fuck, dude? Mr. Skulkin, what have you say for yourself? Gordon Bennett. I mean, just Gordon Flamin' Bennett. God fucking damn it. I swear I didn't know enough about this thing. Honest to God. Counsel, would you please explain exactly what is going on here? The alleged deal that was struck between this witness and this detective, no. Without question, my lord. Then for pity's sake, why on earth was this man in possession of that disc the inspector traded for the information? Inspector Gregson is a shrewd, calculating man who rarely loses his composure. But at one particular point in his trial, he exhibited some unusual behavior for a brief moment. I don't recall what unusual behavior. That was him making a diversion. It was, yes, during my cross-examination of Mr. Graydon. Tell me, Mr. Graydon, when you left the pawnbrokery that night, was it by any chance with the second disc in your jacket pocket? I admit to nothing of the sort. While Mr. Graydon answered my questions, the inspector appeared to have grabbed Nash Skulkin by his coat and was shaking him violently. Yeah, you did and all. Thought me noggin was gonna fall clean off, I did. I was wishing I'd been born as me brother I was. And what exactly happened to make the detective attack you like that? I ain't got a clue. He just suddenly turned around and grabbed me while like that and started shaking me. Why the blazes did you mention the third gun when you got? Why the blazes didn't you mention the third gun when we got you down to the station? That's what he said. It did right down my ear hole. You did. My head's still throbbing now. The way the detective behaved then was extremely out of character. But looking back now, it must have been then that he did it. That was the opportunity Inspector Gregson created for himself in order to hide the disc. Well, bless my wig, he hid it? You. But I'm afraid I fail to comprehend the motive here. If the detective had acquired the disc he was after, why on earth would he then proceed to hide it in another man's pocket? This is a court of law. He could have submitted the item as evidence.
It would appear, my lord, that the inspector was not at liberty to do that.
Why ever not?
As the man himself revealed earlier, this current assignment has some special conditions.
My orders were, recover the medium used to convey the secrets leaked from the ministry, and do it on the QT, strictly hush-hush. Hush-hush? A top secret assignment, is it? As far as we're aware, the information stolen comes from confidential government communications. It would seem that if the information were to be revealed in this court as evidence, it would be problematic. Does that sum up the situation, Inspector? I'm operating under direct orders from the ministry. I'm afraid I'm not at liberty to answer that question. So, realizing that there was a chance that you may be searched here in court, you took steps to hide the disc you had acquired from the witness. What does this mean? He only pretended to attack Mr. Skulkin in order to get close enough to him, to slip the disc into his pocket. So that was all a pretense? Well now, Inspector Gregson, and you, Mr. Graydon, are you prepared to admit to the accusation made against you of this alleged deal? Admit to it, yours truly, please. Mr. Graydon, clearly our Eastern visitor has an uncommonly active imagination. However, there's no proof that I passed that disc to the inspector. But then, how do you explain the reason why you knew about the peephole? I'm under no obligation to explain. What? Yes, I lied in my testimony, that I admit, so sentence me accordingly. But that is all I admit. Murder, leaking government secrets, striking a deal with the detective, all of it is this young Eastern man's fancy. I have no idea what any of this is about. Of course he's gonna lie about it. Well, what about you then, Inspector Gregson? Do you admit to making a deal with Mr. Graydon in order to acquire the disc? Ladies and gents of the jury, as Scotland Yard Inspector, I will declare this and nothing more. I am acting in the best interest of the country. Whatever I've done has been in the name of justice. He's poisoning the well, so as members of the public into this fine country, I'd like to think that justice will be your guiding light when you're making your decision. This is quite a quandary indeed. Rarely have I encountered such extraordinary tumultuousness in the concluding of a trial. Nevertheless, in the absence of any further evidence to be presented, I believe it is time that we put the matter to the jury to their final leadings. Well now, as fellows say, wait, we didn't get to use the other disc. Well now, as a fellow servant of the Queen and the country, I must say I sympathize with the old inspector. Yes, he's a dependable man, I'm quite sure. In service, one becomes a good judge of character. Even crossing your eyes doesn't help when it comes to looking at this case. It's all blurred to me. Well, as a fellow professional, I'd like to put my faith in the detective, really. Graydon is highly skilled operator, stop. Currently in presence of idol, stop. That man is gonna go to jail! Detective has very much trust in his eyes. More than this, I cannot say. I don't believe it. The 6 jurors are. They're going to believe Gregson. If they declare the decision now, is Ginny going to be found guilty? There is a gnarly bump on the back of my shit. I'm trying to find it. Where the fuck? Ow! If I don't manage to produce some sort of definitive evidence right now, then we're going to lose. Either some proof that Graydon killed Mr. Winterbank or stole those government secrets, or some evidence to force Gregson into admitting that he struck a deal with the witness. Well then, counsel, I think it's time that I impose the jurors to declare their final decisions now. That is, unless you have some compelling evidence that you have thus far not presented to the court. If I let the jurors Carlton and their leanings, Juno will be found guilty. So there's no choice then, Bruno. You have to throw some more evidence at them. This is it now. It all comes down to this. Who do I present evidence against? Gregson or Graydon? Inspector Gregson, there is one final piece of evidence I would like you to see. Huh? What's that then? If you refuse to acknowledge that you did in fact strike a deal with this witness here today, then you leave us no choice but to examine this piece of evidence thoroughly. Well, go on. This may be my last chance. Looks like I'm going to have to force his hand here.
Take that!
Is that Mr. McGilda's peculiar music box, counsel? Yes, with the disc already in place, ready to play. I think perhaps now would be a good time to listen to the sound produced by the music box again. Only this time, with the second disc we just discovered set in place as well. Goodness, this disc, counsel? No, wait, I can't let you do that. Why not? Because it's got nothing to do with this case, that's why. Not true, Inspector. The defense has already proposed that the sounds heard by the court earlier from this music box were part of a Morse code message. We know that Morse code comprises 2 distinct tones. The defense believes that the second disc contains the second tone needed to complete the message, and now we have a chance to confirm that theory. For crying out loud, Sunshine, we're talking about state secrets here. If you go letting the whole courtroom hear confidential information like that, it's treason. Then do you admit to the charge? That in order to protect those state secrets, you engaged in unlawful dealings with the witness? You're mad. If you let that secret information out into the public domain, you'll be making an enemy of the entire British government, you idiot. Let's not forget, Inspector, that you, a Scotland Yard officer, leaked confidential case details to a witness, that you continue to lie to court, and all because by fair means or foul, you're determined to do your duty. Well, by fair means or foul, I'm prepared to do mine. Don't you dare. I will stop at nothing to protect my clients. I don't care who I make an enemy of. My lord, if you so please, the court must hear the sounds made by that music box. Come on, Van Cease, for Pete's sake, stop him! Inspector, you should know my methods by now. I'm a prosecutor. I'm no Scotland Yard puppet. In this courtroom, my duty is to the law, so let me propose a toast to uncovering the truth, by fair means or foul. Very well, the defense's stance here and that of the prosecution have been made very clear, I feel. Therefore, in accordance with the defense's request, the court will now listen to this music box set in operation once more. This time with the second disc in place, and both discs playing simultaneously. Oh. Listen to that. It's unmistakable now. It's Morse code. Alright, I admit it, whatever you want. But for the love of God, shut that bloomin' box up! Let me ask you again then, Inspector Gregson. Did you or did you not strike a deal with the witness next to you in the stand, Mr. Ashley Graydon? Specifically, did you furnish the witness with confidential case details in exchange for this music box disc? Did you reveal the existence of the peephole in the pawnbroker's storeroom door, Inspector? I did. Oh, stop! What are you doing, man? It's all exactly like the young Eastern lawyer said when the trial resumed after the recess and we stood here in the stand together. That's when he approached me with the deal. Shut up, you imbecile. Shut up! Psst, you there. You're the detective who turned up at the pawnbrokery the other day, aren't you? I may have something you're looking for, Inspector, with me at this very moment. So how about a trade? I suggest you accept. Or information that may make certain individuals uncomfortable will soon become very public indeed. I couldn't let that information become public knowledge, not under any circumstances. So I accepted a man's proposal and told him details about the case that should have put him in the clear. The peephole in the storeroom door and the bloodstains on the overcoat. By giving false testimony, this witness intended to have the defendant wrongly accused of murder. Inspector, you knew that, yet you still revealed those details to facilitate the witness's perjury. I did. But then it turned out the peephole had only been made that night after the incident took place. Scotland Yard wasn't aware of that, if I'm perfectly honest. Well, Mr. Graydon, what do you have to say for yourself? There's nothing and no one left for you to hide behind. You struck a deal with the inspector in order to escape conviction of a serious crime, namely this. You are the third intruder who broke into the pawnbrokery on that night in question. And you perpetrated the murder of the proprietor, Mr. Pop Windibank. You... Traitor! Oh my God. Get this man. He's got him suspended midair. Get him. Restrain that man at once. That's it then. It's all over. I despised my life growing up. Those slums are vile places. I was cursed from birth, born into poverty, the son of a penniless artisan. My parents did nothing but quarrel all day long. What little money they had was never spent on me. So I set about studying to better myself, to one day escape that hellhole. And you eventually became a communications officer. I admire your determination. Don't give this nigga props, the fuck? But then you decided to try to sell government secrets? Why? Isn't it obvious? Because I wanted money. Even now, years later, the nightmares of my life in the slums wake me in the small hours. I wanted to drown them out, with more money than anyone who lived in that squalor could ever imagine. Then one day I met him. Mr. Magnus McGilded. You're a fiend with acquired talent, you are. I have money to throw your way if you're interested. All you need to do is go along with me a little plan now. I was to steal the ministry's telegraphic message logs, and McGilded would buy them for a handsome sum. As I was responsible for inspections of the ministry's communications office, it was a simple enough task. The lure of the devil's offerings, how easy it is to succumb. But you must surely have realized the seriousness of the crime you were committing. And for that reason, I took great lengths to ensure that my actions were untraceable. By using the music box. My father was a brickmaker, though my mother divorced him when I was still a child. Yes, Mr. Mason Milverton. That's right. He was very skilled with his hands. He'd once been a music box maker apprentice. I imagined his skills would be sufficient to create a machine that could generate Morse code, so I sought out my father again to employ his services. It's the first time I'd seen him since I left the slum 10 years earlier. Look at you, Ashley. What a fine gent you become, eh? He was a different man to the one in my memory, a thin, frail old man. But poverty had never broken him, never corrupted him like it had me. I was sure that he wouldn't help me if I told him the real reason. So I made up a story. I've got some work for you, Father. I need some music box discs made. Music box discs, eh? A musician friend of mine has written some music he wants to sell to the public. I brought the score with me. There are two, actually. I'd be delighted, son. It's been 20 years since I did any work like this, though. Fetch my tools, would you? They're in the loft. That's how I had to make the two discs. Thereby splitting the information in two. You were taking considerable precautions indeed. It was to protect myself as much as anything. It meant that I could deal with McGilded in two separate transactions. The first involved the two discs in the music box playing them. I exchanged them with McGilded for 10 guineas. Then, on receipt of the second disc, he would pay 1,000 guineas. So what happened on that omnibus 2 months ago? Was the second part of a deal, the exchange of the second disc? Yes. I'd sold the man information that way a number of times already, but it seems he became reluctant to part with his money. But that doesn't make sense, Mr. Graydon. For why was it that on the omnibus 2 months ago, your father, Mr. Milverton, was the one dealing with Mr. McGilded and not yourself? When I received the 1,000 guineas after my first completed dealings with Mr. McGilded, I decided to give 200 to my father for his troubles. my father realized something was amiss. In time, he worked out that I must be involved in something dubious, and when he did, he said to me, "Next time there's an exchange, you'll let your old man do it, understand? Otherwise, I won't take your money anymore." That was my father's way of dealing with it, I suppose. Climb into the omnibus, hand over the second disc, and take the money from McGilded. That's it. He had no idea what was actually on the disc I'd asked him to make. He never knew. Just like I'll never know why everything was so horribly wrong that night. All I know is that the disc was taken from him, and he never returned home. It was only then that I found out what sort of a monster McGilded really was. So after 10 years of not once uttering it, I swore on my father's name. To exact revenge. Revenge? As anyone with even the remotest knowledge of the man will no doubt be able to imagine, McGilded brought all his wealth and influence to bear in the most despicable of ways. To crush any semblance of justice in his trial. The crime scene was tampered with, evidence was fixed, and witnesses were bribed. The trial 2 months ago was a farce from start to finish. My feet had barely touched the British soil back then, and I walked into that hornet's nest completely unaware of the sinister background to it all. I made plenty of money out of my dealings with McGilded by then, so I spared nothing in my arrangements 2 months ago. I knew exactly who to hire. If you're willing to pay the price, there are people in this city willing to do anything you ask. McGilded himself had shown me that. Are you saying that? I think you have the picture now. After he twisted everything to his favor in the courtroom to ensure that he walked free, I took matters into my own hands and delivered the justice that monster deserved. You killed him. You did that. That tragic accident following the trial 2 months ago was planned and executed by yours truly. You're admitting to that too? McGilded's death that day was caused by this man? Everything is ready, sir. If you'd like to follow me into the courtroom. What's this, officer? This is sooner than I was led to believe. I hope it's not inconvenient, sir. There were some changes to the schedule. Well, I must be making tracks now. 'Tis time for the inspection. They're going to examine the omnibus again, so I'm told. I'm asked if I could be present for it myself. So that policeman who came to tell Mr. McGilded he could examine the omnibus again. That's right. An imposter, hired by me. McGilded used his wealth to manipulate the trial. He paid people to adulterate the omnibus with all manner of false evidence. He threatened witnesses to lie in their testimony. So I gave the man a taste of his own medicine. Once the omnibus was doused in paraffin, one of my sham policemen ushered McGilded inside and set him on a one-way journey to hell. An eye for an eye. That's how I avenged my father's death. A spine-chilling account indeed. But that wasn't the end of it for me. There was a loose end, you see. A loose end? Yes, I should think it's obvious. The second disc in which my father had taken to exchange with Mr. McGilded. Yes. There was indeed no mention of it in the man's trial 2 months ago. Clearly because it had been removed from the scene of the crime. When I realized it was missing, I remembered something. Something from the first time I dealt with Mr. McGilded. This is the first of the 2 discs. In the music box you need to play them. Well, look at that now. What an ingenious little invention.
So then, as promised, 10 guineas for you, young man.
What's this? Winnebago's pawnbrokery?
Aye, it's his pawnbroker's ticket it is. You can use it to redeem an article I deposited there for you. There's no need to give a name, just hand over the ticket and tell the fiend the watchword. I put a jewel in the pawn for you. It'll fetch a good 10 guineas if you sell it, so it will.
I've never heard of a pawnbrokery being used in quite that way before.
Have you not, Mr. Graydon? London's pawnbrokers are very useful places, you know. Each one is like an extremely secure vault.
So I knew that if he had taken the steps to hide the disc, it would be in that pawnbrokery somewhere. And on that night he killed my father, he must have entrusted the ticket to someone. Yes, to Gina. I remember now that when we first met you at Winterbanks that afternoon 2 days ago, you had a description of Miss Lestrade written down. How did you know who you were looking for? From the trial, that pickpocket's testimony was clearly peculiar. Anyone could see that. I realized immediately that she was another of McGilda's pawns, that he must have threatened her somehow. I was fairly convinced it would be her who had the ticket, so I started to make some inquiries. I had a strong suspicion the girl would come out of the woodwork on the redemption deadline. He was absolutely right. And yes, sure enough, she did. All I needed to do was wait until the girl went to Winterbanks to redeem the articles. But unfortunately, she redeemed only Mr. McGilda's overcoat, and the one disc was in his pocket. The all-important box with the second disc inside was missing, because it had already been forfeited 2 days earlier. But I was unaware of that fact. Had I not been, I could have avoided my nighttime excursion. Meanwhile, as our investigation into the stolen government secrets was progressing, we picked up on the fact that Mr. McGilda was involved. Inspector, you've recovered fast. My orders were to recover the stolen information as quickly as possible, so we started gathering the fellow's possessions and examining whatever we could lay our hands on. We had a full-scale investigation going on at the yard, but we had to keep it as quiet as we could. Then, when the inspector here took the disc from me in the pawnbrokery that day, I became nervous. I was sure the music box and the second disc were still there in the shop somewhere, so I knew that it was a race against time. I had to find those articles before the police did. So that's what prompted you to break into that place the same night. With the help of your old friends, the Skulkin brothers. What happened that night in the pawnbrokery, I can only describe as a nightmare. While Nash and Ringo were searching the counter, I had located the music box I had sold to McGilda on the shelves of forfeited articles. And the second disc was inside?
And the second disc was inside.
Yes, I slipped it in my pocket with a very deep sigh of relief. But then, something entirely unexpected happened. What are you doing in my shop? Oh, he shot immediately. So that's how you got it in the arm. A gunshot rang out in the shop and I felt a sharp pain in my left arm. The broker fired his gun and the bullet pierced your limb. Yes, exactly, but unfortunately, I decided to bring my own gun with me that night, just in case. Before I knew what was happening, I fired back. The man had already turned to flee, but I hadn't intended to fire in his direction, much less kill him. But unfortunately for the both of us, the bullet hit home. It struck him in the middle of his back as he fled through the storeroom door for refuge. A sorry, sorry tale. It all took place in the blink of an eye. I don't imagine Nash and Ringo even realized what had happened at first. I was terrified, so I fled. And
And that's the whole story. That's everything that happened at Winterbanks on that wretched night. Earlier, you called McGilded a monster. A man who used his wealth and influence to distort the facts and escape justice for the crimes of murder. What tragic irony, for what you have done is exactly the same. You've become the very monster you saw and despised so deeply in McGilded.
Yes, I think I have. Well, this has been a long and exhausting trial. However, it would seem that at last we have arrived at the truth. Inspector Gregson, what of Mr. Ashley Graydon? He's been restrained, my lord, and is being escorted to the yard. He'll be charged with the murder of Mr. Winterbank, and the stealing of government secrets. Very good. And you, Inspector, regrettably, you will have to face charges yourself. Yes, my lord, of course. It transpires that you were
complicit in helping a criminal escape justice. That fact remains whether or not you were doing so in the line of duty. The crime is a serious one, Inspector, and inexcusable.
Now to the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade. Yeah? It is time for the final adjudication. Is the jury ready, Mr. Foreman? Yes, sir. Daredevil Squadron standing by, sir. This is really it now. The last push, the final call, the finishing whistle. My men are ready to deliver their verdicts. Thank you, Mr. Foreman. Very well, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. You will now declare your final decisions to the court.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty. Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
That's the stuff. I'm off the hook. Finally, Bruno, you managed to do it. Finally is the word. I really wasn't sure if we'd come out on top for a while there. Susie was right. You're the best lawyer in the world. Miss Lestrade, I'm not finished with you yet. What are you looking at me like that for? Before you start enjoying your freedom, there are certain other crimes to consider. 2 months ago in my courtroom, no less, you gave false testimony, did you not? In relation to the trial today, not only did you unlawfully enter Winterbank's pawnbrokery, you also attempted to abscond with Mr. McGilded's property, it seems. I never done nothing of the sort. Of course not. It's not like you were gleefully wearing McGilded's coat in your cell yesterday or anything. Just when I was getting excited about throwing a party for Ginny this evening. And turning our attention to the defense, determining that when played together, the music box disc contains a message in Morse code was, well, certainly most inspected under Revelation Council.
Quite so, my lord. Quite so, my lord. The prosecution was caught entirely off guard. In fact, I think we should applaud my learned friend's courage here today. I propose a toast to demanding that government secrets be disseminated before the entire courtroom.
Very sorry about that. It was the only way I could get the Inspector Gregson to admit that what he'd done, so... If I may say something on that point, isn't that... It's, about the sounds produced by the music box before. I do wonder if that was really Morse code at all.
What? What are you saying, madam?
Oh, well, it's just that I'm really rather fanatical when it comes to Morse code, you see. So much that the whole world would seem to be covered in dots and dashes for me, in fact. Goodness, man, an unhealthy level of obsession one feels. But I must say that in my opinion, the sounds produced by those two discs were nothing more than that, a meaningless series of two different tones. What? Can that really be? It wasn't Morse code after all? My lord, the defense would like to listen to the music box again. Are you out of your nut? How many times do I have to tell you those discs contain ministerial secrets, Santana? I'm gonna just let him do his thing because his voice is grating on me. But it's really going to bother me. It's gonna bother me too. I want to know what the fuck it says. Miss Lestrade. Yeah, my lord? That which you have seen here today in this courtroom has been extremely disturbing.
Falsified evidence, intimidation, perjury, a grim catalog of depravity.
An appalling experience to befall any child. Come on, it ain't nothing. I don't see most days back in the slums. I beg your pardon? If you're weak, you pay for it. That's just how life goes. Gino. But look, I reckon I've worked something out today. The world ain't fair, but if you want it to change, you've got to start at home. You've got to change how you are yourself. Well, that's a very laudable lesson, I would say. I eagerly look forward to the born-again Miss Lestrade never again gracing my courtroom with her presence. Now, with regard to the murder of Mr. Pop Winterbank, proprietor of pawnbrokery business on Baker Street, I hereby declare the defendant Miss Gina Lestrade not guilty. Literally, yes ma'am. Ooh, 4-hour long ass trial. God damn. I had to split this up over I don't know how many videos now. Shit. That is all. Court is adjourned. Oh.
On a personal note, I must say you've surprised me, my Far Eastern friend.
Oh.
Despite being a Nipponese, you saw right through the pretense to the malice that festered within that Englishman. And at the same time, you saw through the grime to the surprising heart of your lone English client. You have a curious talent for judging character, especially considering our very different cultures.
I don't think there's anything curious about it. Whether we're from the Empire of Great Britain or the Empire of Japan, we're all human beings. We're not so very different on the inside.
You know, I took this case for one simple reason. To lock swords with you once again here in this courtroom.
You did?
When I encountered you for the first time 2 months ago, it reminded me of toasting friendship and trust with another Nipponese, only to find my trust betrayed. Through you, I hope to look into the eyes of the man I once knew and try to understand.
You mentioned something similar earlier today, about total betrayal at the hands of the Japanese. What happened exactly?
Well, you may ask, and one day when the time comes, you will learn the answer, whether you like it or not.
Alright, then I'll wait for that day if I must.
coming to be known as the Reaper of the Bailey, and my retirement of service 5 years ago. It gives me cause to wonder if our meeting has some deeper purpose. So farewell, my learned Nipponese fellow, until we meet again.
It's done. It's over at last. But where's Iris disappeared to? Ah! Congratulations, Gina. I knew it all along. I knew that you were innocent. Well, you did what you said, Mr. Naruto. You believed in me right up to the end. You're as odd as your name. What's odd about it? I told you that I had faith in you, didn't I? No one's ever asked before, see? Kept the promise, properly. That's awful. I figured something out today. All my life growing up in the slums, I've never trusted no one. But that's just because I've been scared of being stabbed in the back. The more you trust someone, the more it hurts when they let you down. Yes, I think I can understand that. After all, I had a taste of it in a trial 2 months ago. I chose to trust someone and paid for it. That betrayal left a big scar. You know though, Gina, I worked something out quite recently too. Trusting in someone else is really an exercise in learning to trust yourself. And when your gut tells you it's the right thing to do and your trust is rewarded, there's no better feeling in the world. I think I have you to thank for reminding me of that valuable lesson. Oh, well, if you say so. Don't make a fat lot of sense to me, though. I'm trying to say that putting my faith in you, Gina, has been a real pleasure. For crying out loud, pack it in! But I suppose I sort of feel the same way. Sometimes trusting someone else is, alright. Thanks. This is the way I see it, Ryunosuke. A defense lawyer is only as good as his faith in his client. And that comes down to how much faith he has in himself. After this experience, I'm starting to feel like I understand what you mean. Kazuma, am I living up to your expectations? Am I turning out to be the lawyer that you believed I could be? Pardon the interruption. My God. But what the deuce does a man have to do to be noticed around here, my dear fellow? That voice! It's too late for that voice now, Mr. Naruhodo. I've been standing here patiently in the corner of the room for an eternity. Yes, it was me all along. I would have said so when you finally noticed me. But you people with your incessant babbling. Mr. Sholmes. Yes, it was me all along, you see? I'd assumed you'd been taken back to the hospital, to be honest. Indeed, I was, but I managed to escape again. Oh. I happen to be aware of one or two foibles of the doctor who was tending to me. I merely made my knowledge of them known to the man, and he happily issued me with leave of absence. How very above board. But enough of my adventures. That was a fine victory, Mr. Naruhodo. Your tireless efforts justly rewarded, I feel. Congratulations are in order. As a close friend, I tip my hat to you. Oh, thank you. Some great detective you are. great at being cold as ice, maybe. Have I irked you in some way, Miss Lestrade? While you've been having a snooze in your nice soft bed, some of us have been fighting for our lives. Oh, well, that bullet did cause me to lose a substantial amount of blood, it's true. So I've indeed been feeling somewhat cold. Not perhaps cold as ice, but, well, have a feel. Would you take your hands off my neck, please, Mr. Sholmes? And in some way, I suppose, congratulations are in order for you too, Miss Lestrade. What's that supposed to mean? Why so half-hearted? Well, naturally, it isn't my intention to alarm you, but an acquittal in a trial with that particular prosecutor is perhaps a little precarious. Well done, Mr. Sholmes, not alarming in the slightest. Oh, the Reaper, you mean? Because anyone who's found not guilty in the trial he was working on winds up dead anyway, is that it? The very point I was trying to make, as exemplified by the fate of Mr. McGilded, in fact. Ah, but of course, I pay no attention to such irrational drivel myself. Yeah, well, it don't bother me. Oh, really? Of course not. The way I see it, the Reaper's a bit like him upstairs. Him upstairs? You mean like God? Yeah. And upstairs, you know knows what's what, right? He knows what people are like on the inside. You won't have got the wrong idea. You won't have got the wrong end of the stick. There are some codes like that bog trotter would rotten to the core. At the end of the day, him upstairs make sure they get what they deserve. I suppose that's one way of looking at it. Divine justice is one thing, though, but a Reaper is taking matters into his own hands and claiming the lives is another. Well, I ain't like the McGildeds of this world, so I ain't scared. I got principles, see? Trade on you, is that what you missed? Oh my god, I cannot fucking talk. Ooh, just give it a rest, alright? As I was saying, congratulations are in order. The news of your acquittal was very welcome news to me indeed. Let me express my heartfelt congratulations, Gina. Well, there you are, Hurley. How long have you been here? I'm gonna let them talk for a minute. Alright. My throat is dry. Oh. Oh my god. Oh. Oh my goodness. truth is, when it happened, I did it because I lost a little of my faith in the law. I was worried that the right person wouldn't be convicted of the crime, but the moment I allowed myself to think that was the moment I lost my right to call myself a judicial assistant. What you did isn't comparable to what he did. Graydon is the one who lied in the witness stand, using that people as a way to implicate Gina. And besides, if the people inconsistency hadn't existed, I'm not at all sure that she would have been acquitted in the end. Miss Susato, what you did saved Gina's life. Well, with your kind words, Miss Nodohodo, you saved me too from my regrets. Alright, I'm gonna end it here because it's been like 2 hours. It's been 2 hours. Thank y'all for coming out to the stream. Good lord, that trial was long, but hey, at least we got Gina off the hook, and hopefully she will stick around. I hope that she's still going to be a character that we see here and there. But as of right now, I don't know. Glad that we got everything cleared up in the end, that we finally made it to the end. And I guess with that being said, I'll see you guys next time.